smaller elements, a paragraph here, a paragraph there. The paragraphs break down into sentences. And this allows them to go through and identify what elements are actually going to be participating in this story. And then it allows them to say, what are the angles? And put the angles in. And so in this story, we have an angle that the candidate, this is based upon a Twitter system we have. We're looking at candidates, the Republican primary candidates. There's a candidate for today. Is that candidate who's winning today on Twitter? By the way, Ron Paul always wins on Twitter. Is the candidate who's winning today on Twitter the same as yesterday or different than yesterday? Is the traffic up or down? Right? Different angles, which will actually determine what kinds of stories we're going to run. And then derivations, all the little calculations that we have to run. And what's nice is that this actually provides a bridge between an editorial point of view, between here's what I want the story to be, and the engineering point of view. That is, here's the actual representation that a machine is going to use in order to write this story. And at the bottom is data. It always gets down to data and how that data should be structured. And the powerful thing is this allows editorial to communicate in a seamless way with engineers, and actually to communicate in a seamless way with a machine that is going to be writing stories for them. So the product of all this is the ability to take that data and move it into clear, clean, coherent, readable stories. One of the sweet things, though, is in terms of the way the core system works, is that for any given element that the system wants to say, it doesn't have one way of saying it. It has dozens of ways of saying it. And in fact, at the sentence level, there'll be many, many sentences that will express the same idea. And then within those sentences, the system actually knows about things like, you know, I mentioned this guy's full name in the last sentence. I should only talk about him in terms of his last name because I actually am going to trust that you're going to understand the reference. And the next time I mention him, I'm actually going to mention his position. So I'll talk about Mark Royal, I'll talk about Royal, I'll talk about the pitcher. Right? So we'll actually move around in the space of possible ways to refer to things, as well as the overall structure of the sentence, the language that's being used. Well, that's one half of our business. Don't worry. The other half of our business is on the big data side. And this came as a result of being in a meeting at a media company with a woman who was a VP of strategy. And during the meeting, she got this given to her. This is a notebook that is filled with spreadsheets. And I said in the meeting, what do you do with that? And she said, I put it in that shelf over there. And she said, I don't need a shelf full of folders, though. I just need a 2-paragraph summary of the stuff that's important to me. Can you do that? And of course, the answer was yes. And it's because what we're hearing is we collect everything on how each account is performing, but we only have the people to explain it to the top 10 customers. You don't get the game from the stats, you get the game from the story they tell. And then my favorite, and it's with an organization we're working with right now that collects point-of-sale data for 14,000 franchisees. It was a brilliant, brilliant idea on that is you want to meter and monitor everything in order to make a business better. So they got all this data, and then they made it available to the franchisees. And it turns out that fast food franchisees are no more interested in looking at the data than developers are interested in looking at charts and graphs. The problem is that we had a guy on the data analytics side who we were talking to who said, if I could spend a half hour each week with each one of our clients and their data, I could improve all of their businesses. And so we decided that we would go into this business as well. So we take a look at point-of-sale data for this organization, and we write this. I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's the last paragraph, I think, which is the crucial one. We'll give an overview. This is how you're doing in general. This is how you're doing. This is how you're trending. This is how you're comparing to your cohort. We're doing this, what you would want to say to somebody who owns a store that's one of many in the world. The last paragraph is the important one, though. The new item with the greatest growth opportunity this week was the coffee cake muffin. Increasing your sales by just 1 unit per 1,000 transactions to match sales in the region would add another $156 to your monthly profit. That amounts to $1,872 over the course of 1 year. It turns out that that's the thing they love, because we can actually extract the opportunity for them and then communicate it to them directly. The opportunity is in the data. If they wanted to look at that data and spend time analyzing that data, they could get to it, but they don't. I'm going to skip over this because Stuart looked at this. It is one of my favorite examples of what we do. Again, it's a report to a student that tells them exactly what the opportunity looks like for them to get better at what they're doing. And this is a case for us as a company where we get to do well while doing good. That is improving an educational experience by getting a level of specificity in a communication that is impossible for human beings to do at this point, simply because of scale. And then we do some work now in performance reporting for marketing services companies, that is online advertising management companies, where they talk to their clients, but they only talk to their biggest clients. And so we give them the opportunity to have a personal communication with their smaller clients about what has been done for them, how it has worked, whether or not it's going to work in the future, what changes they might make. So for us, the story is the last mile in understanding big data. Now, we are in a weird situation, and that is, if I tell you what we do, we're a niche company. We take data and we turn it into narratives. That's our core competency. We do a lot of other things in there, but that's our core competency. It just so happens that the niche we're working in is big data. The niche we're working in is every piece of information that everybody on this planet is now collecting. And this information which they're now trying to figure out what to do with now that they've collected it. And we do it everywhere. There is no data set we have found yet where it's being used by humans to generate reports or stories that we can't generate into. So the reality is, wherever there is a story, wherever there is data, we can tell the story. With one proviso: wherever there is structured data, we can tell the story. Now, it turns out there actually is this other world, unstructured data.